we have come to the conclusion of this summer series, The Love You Give, based off the movie The Hate You Give. And we found out that it's possible that the world can feel light in dark places by the people who attach themselves to our God. Because it's late, I just want to just sum it up that Paul said in Galatians 5, he said, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I like how Paul concludes it. He says, when you have these things, there's no law to prohibit it. I don't know if y'all caught that. See, they can take prayer out of schools, but they'll not be able to take prayer out of you. People still are walking around saying, you know, when they took prayer out of our schools, it changed our communities. No, it didn't. Christians stopped praying. That might have been what changed your community. You see, when God is in you, can't nobody take him out of it. The old saying, you can take a man out the country. Y'all heard that? But you can't take the country out the man. Well, see, when something is in you, when it's in you, no matter where you go, it's in you. Can't nobody tell you you can't do it. You can't say it because it's in you. My friends, as we conclude this text, and I ask you to read Galatians because just to go back to be reminded, and if I had time, I would remind us of every one of those sermons. There was something that was imparted that God wants you to see his character, love and joy and peace. All of those are characteristics of God. But it's funny, he saved the very last one. Paul saves the very last one, self-control. That's basically not a characteristic of God. That's a characteristic of fallen man. The other 8, he's saying, this is how you see me. When you do these, they are an expression of a God. But the 9th one isn't. See, God doesn't need to be in self-control. You do. And I do. And so Paul writes his spiritual son, Timothy, and tells Timothy about how to get ready to do ministry. And so Paul tells Timothy, along with Galatians 5, here in Timothy 2, Paul is telling Timothy, get ready to go do a work for God. But just know it's not going to be easy. Sometimes we miss that we want a God where life is always easy. But you learn your best lessons in those tension moments. I wish somebody heard me. You learn your best lessons in your tension moments. It's when you cannot understand what more you could do. And in that confused, in that chaotic moment, is when God's power and his presence shines the greatest. But it's in that tension moment. Christianity Christianity is a faith with tension. So Paul tells his young friend, he says, I need to tell you something. It's going to be hard. I just want to paraphrase one thing. I want to paraphrase Paul's words to Timothy, Timothy 1, 3, and 6. And you just read it. James just read it. But I want to paraphrase it. And that's the text. I want to paraphrase it in my language. Paul would probably be saying to Timothy this morning, he would say, hello, my young friend. My faith is still in God. Just as it was in my parents and my grandparents. Just like day and night are inseparable, so are my prayers and my thoughts for you, Timothy. Sometimes, Timothy, I think back on our last time together and remembering how we cried when I had to go to prison. Man, I miss you. You come from a good stock, Timothy. Your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, they were strong women in the Lord. Michael, when I saw your mother come to the drums and I was introduced on a card who it was, it made me know you come from good stock. Woman who loves the Lord. But it is what Paul says to him next. He says, Timothy, I know that they passed this gene on to you, but it ain't no good. It will serve you no purpose. It will not change your life just because your mother is one who loves the Lord. This is what he's saying to her. This is a paraphrase. He's saying to Timothy, Timothy, it won't matter at all until you do something. And he says, Timothy, what I think you need to do is stir up. Oh, I wish I had a witness. He said, Timothy, unless you, see, some of us are trying to say, I used to be spiritual. I will tell you, that's cool. But you might need an addition to your spirituality. Oh, y'all, I'm almost done. Every morning I walk my little dog out. Y'all know I got me a little dog that's trying to take over our house, but I got this little dog. And when me and her get through tuggling, going down the street, I'm trying to make her, somebody, and she know who she walking with. And when people drive by, I try to get her in check right then so they can say, he really got a nice dog. But when they move on, she's just everywhere, So, but when I face the Rocky Mountains, I have a spiritual moment. I began to think about who created all this. I think about how did he know to put the peak just at this place and at this thing. How did he know at just the right temperature to hold the snow on the top of that bad boy? How did he know that in the midst of a mountain there must be a valley? And then I think about my mom and my daddy when they say he's an on-time God. Yes, he is. When I think about that, I have to tell myself, Dave, you got to move beyond spiritual. You got to stir that thing up that's in you. And you got to know that our God is an awesome God. So he told Timothy, he said to my dear friend, he said, stir up the gift. Let it catch a fire. That's all he was telling Timothy. It's got to catch a fire. Now, some of you are sitting here this morning and you're saying, but Pastor, I feel the Spirit of God when I come to church, but when I leave, it goes away. Pastor, I know what you're saying when I go home and I have some quiet time, but it doesn't stay with me. And I go, I understand, yes. And they said, well, Pastor, how can I live always in that moment? And here's the essence. The essence of this thing is you got to stop depending on a feeling. See, feelings will lie to you. Oh, y'all know what? I'm almost done. Some of you thought you were in love with what's his name. And when you got to know what's his name, he was Frankenstein. That's a feeling. Oh, I wish I had a witness up here. You thought that I have to do this. That's a feeling. But you got to know that you know that you know that you know. You got to know God. So when life is upside down, you got to know God is right there with you. He's not just with you when it's right side up. He's with you when things is, oh, I wish I had witness, it's upside down. Sometimes things will go sideways on you. What? They'll go sideways. But you got to know God is right there. I'm through. That God is right there. But he told Timothy, he said, Timothy, when you go off to do your pastoring, you got to do something. You got to stir this thing up. You got to stir it up. And you got, oh, I wish I had a witness. The visual that I see my wife every time we go out to dinner or go to breakfast, this is how I know how my wife is going to order her coffee. And I just hope these people are ready. Because if they don't get it right, it kind of throw her off. And Debbie will go up there and Debbie will say, give me coffee. They'll say, all right, small or large. Give me a large. Give me 2 creams. And give me 2 sugars. Now, I don't drink coffee. And I always ask her, if you like it so much, why you got to add to it? So meticulously, she takes the cream, pour one in, and pour the other one in. Then she gets the packets, opens up the packet, pour one in, opens the other one, and pour one in. I noticed it ain't coffee yet for her. I notice it is not what she will calm her down, so she'll stop hollering at me. I know it ain't right yet, so I don't speak until after I see her get that spoon, and with that spoon, there's something that she said, before I take this, I gotta make sure it's stirred up. I wish I had a witness up in here. You got to, oh, I wish I had somebody in here. Your faith ain't no good until you stir it up. Your hope ain't no good until you stir it. Oh, I wish I had a witness up in here. I'm about to lose my mind up in here. You got to stir. You got to stir. You got to stir your faith. So, I'm done. The gifts of the Spirit. Go back to the gifts of the Spirit. But the fruit of the Spirit, you can't just have one. Gotcha. Well, Pastor, I love everybody. That's cool. But that ain't the end of the journey. I'm leery of folk who love God but ain't got no joy. You ain't got no joy. You only got joy when you up front. Joy. Here it is. Here it is. You should have a peaceful spirit. You shouldn't be causing confusion. I'm just, there it is. Patience is translated willing to wait. Haven't some of you gotten tired of running away from God? He ain't going nowhere. He just, I'm just waiting on you. Kindness. That's the essence of the Good Samaritan. Kindness is the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Goodness. I like that sermon because in that sermon I said, goodness, bad people can do good stuff. Y'all do know that. Bad people can do good stuff. The difference in a bad person and a good person has no desire to do bad things. Oh, y'all missed that. A bad person can do some good stuff, but a good person has no desire to do bad. Faithfulness, you got to trust somebody. My dentist is here. I trust her. I've gone into her office. She go all through them little teeth. And she always asks me, you okay? You know, I only say I'm okay because it's her. But when she get to prodding and things, then she stopped asking me, am I okay? See, faithfulness is you got to learn you're going to have to trust somebody. Much of your life is filled with confusion because you are so busy trying to be siloed. I don't let anybody in. You won't in bad. You were not made to go it alone. We are a community religion. Gentleness, a strong hand with a gentle or a soft touch. You can be right, but you don't always have to be right today. And if we hadn't already got all jumped into this thing, I'd have told you in self-control there are some things you got to work on. But you got to stop deceiving yourself. You may not be a drug addict. And most churches think if we're not a drug addict, if I don't chase the opposite sex, if I don't drink, if I don't smoke, I'm cool. You missing it. Everybody has something that they're working with. I don't care how churchy you look up in here. There's something you go home to and you just got to go, Lord, help me. I think one of my first points was, you got to own what it is that you're wrestling with. Stop coming to church trying to mask it. Deal with it. We serve a God who can give us the power. That's why he says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love. That's what he says, I've given you power. And then over self-control. Just depends on your translation. It just says, I give you power over self-control. But it's not something you wish away. It's something every day you go back to God. God, I'm about to begin my journey. And I know that thing is going to rear its head up later today. I know it's coming. But we go back to God. So Paul is adding Timothy's letter, I believe, to his Galatians letter. And he says, when you put all of these characteristics in place, he goes, your journey will change. Your vision will expand. Your patience will grow. Your walk will be sweeter. Your joy will be daily. He says, if you put all these things into play, he says, you have a clear mind. My brothers and my sisters, this summer, All that the devil has tried for us to believe is that we're in a chaotic world. I know there's some goofy stuff going on, but I'll close with this. Do you know why Jesus is called words? Because he has to be the authority over all authority. Oh, y'all ain't caught that? That's why folk call him the King of Kings. I'm going to go ahead and write one in. He's the president of presidents. Oh, y'all ain't ready for this. He's the senator of all senators. He's the governor. They said the government would be on his shoulders. He's the government over all. That's why he's the Lord of Lords. It may be chaotic now, but our God reigns. He reigns. He reigns. You got to know he reigns. That's the end of the fruit of the Spirit. Go back and hear them. They're on the webpage. But I need you to hold your head up. Go by and extend some love to somebody. Be kind to somebody. That's how this darkness is going to be dispelled, is that the people of God are working in his truth. Thank you for a wonderful morning. Thank you, Michael's mom and Michael and the voices, Irvia. I just needed you to know, just ask God some stuff. Just want to tell you that I love you more than. Oh, I wish. See, you can't sing that if you don't mean that. He said, I love you, Jesus. I worship. I just want to. See, I think that's what Paul was doing to Timothy. I just need to tell you something. Would you stand with me?